I almost forgot to talk about the centipede poison movement, so I'm gonna run this here. So I made all the mushrooms poisoned, and then hopefully it'll run into them. Yeah, there you go, so it'll go straight down. Another thing I didn't mention with the centipede movement is that it does ignore a centipede that's below it. The thing with the poisoning, which you just saw here, is that sometimes it thinks that a random position in front of it is a centipede, so one cell over. I tried to debug and see what was wrong, and I feel like it's trying to get the edge mushroom, which doesn't exist. Even though there are mushrooms that do spawn on the edge, and there shouldn't be one there, it should be null. It does have that weird thing. The actual movement does work. It's probably something like half the time where it just has no problems at all. If I just set it to always be false, of course it won't have any problems. But the actual movement is there. If it did work properly with not having a null mushroom, it would go straight down, and then, like you just saw, it'll go back up to the player area. So to talk about the critters, I have my flea, scorpion, and spider. So for the spider, I had already showcased it, so it'll hit the mushrooms and it'll destroy them. I did that based on collision, not based on the grid position, like the centipede, because I just didn't have time. So what the spider movement does, or what it is actually, it's just a bunch of movement offsets that I set as a movement type or function, and then those are set based on the size I want it. So as long as I want it to loop through that, I'll set that. That's called movement 1. So it just moves diagonally up and down, and then moves up and down across the screen. And the direction it moves is based on where it spawns. So I'll run this so you can see the movement. And then there you go, it's going through. Let me just unpoison those mushrooms in case it crashes. Actually, it wouldn't crash because I commented out the mushroom return. So that's the spider, and then I can also destroy the spider for points. So based on the distance, it'll give me 300, 600, or 900. So I'll wait for this to come through here. And then once it spawns, oh, of course I don't get it that time. Let's see, we'll run this again. And then the score is reflected up top on the top left, just like in the actual game, so it'll update. And then the high score does, so there you go, that was 600, that was a mid-range shot. I'll try to get another spider at a closer range, or larger range, so you can see the difference, but it says 600 there. The flea does spawn, so I'll just talk about the flea right now that I have time. The flea spawns when there are less than 5 mushrooms in the player area. And then if there are less than 5, it'll spawn the flea, it'll drop some shrooms on the way down. How many it drops is just a random chance, so that was 600 again. But now that I'm at 1200, this is a good way to show off the high score reflection. So it went up to 1220 because that was the newest high score now. Again, it keeps going up. There you go, so now wave 3, I believe, is starting. Yeah, that was... oh no, wave 2 is starting. 600 again. But I'll use that to show off the high score, so that's reflected accurately. So I will go back to my folder because I forgot to open it. And then that would be under resources, high score text. So that score that I just had, all the scores I just had actually, were added to the file here. I don't have a limit on this. I didn't feel, actually, I shouldn't say that. I wasn't able to have it actually change the file based on the list I had, but it does only ever show 8 at a time on the attractor mode. So what it would do is just show the top 8. So I'll run this again to get the attractor mode going. And there goes the top 8 that I just got right now. So that's all working fine. Oh, and there you go. As you can see, the spider showed 900, so 900 was added. And then if I go to the spider, how that works is that based on the distance of collision, it'll get the bullet's distance, it'll get the spider's distance, get the absolute value of that. And then if it's less than, distance close would be 50, distance medium is 100, and anything else is far. It'll call the explosion, create explosion on the spider explosion factory. And that's 2 parts. So the spider explosion factory that's just the regular factory, and then it passes in which type it should be, so close, medium, or far. And then the spider explosion is a switch statement upon initialization that just takes that type that passed in and then sets the appropriate sprite. Scales normal, updates the same, and then it'll display the correct number based on the sprite that it should be. So that was 600 and then 900. For the Scorpion, I will edit the file so that, edit the wave data file so that Scorpions do spawn, and I'll make them spawn frequently just to show that they do poison the mushrooms. Well, alright, well, if I were lucky, there we go. So it hits it, it poisons it, same thing here. I'll look and poison that one too. Okay, so basically that's how that works. Nothing surprising there. Let me set this to 0 because it shouldn't spawn on the first wave. The way this works is that this is based on grid position, not on collision. So what it does, it just checks the next cell every 8 frames. So it'll move based on the actual speed would be 8 regardless, but it'll check those for every X amount of frames to check if it's null, if the position it's on is null. If it is, it'll just poison that shroom. Sorry, if it's not null, which means there is a mushroom there, it'll poison it. And then that I already showed you how this works. It just changes the sprite and behaves like a normal mushroom, except for the fact that if a centipede hits it, centipede will move straight down. I showcased the flea. Like I said, if there's less than 5 in the play area and the mushroom is destroyed, that flea will spawn. So I do this here in the mushroom field whenever a mushroom is removed. It'll create the flea using the flea factory. And then again, all the critters have factories. To save time, I won't go through all of them line by line, but they're the exact same as a bullet factory and every other factory I have in the game. They're added to recycled items and they're destroyed and reused, so I never have too many at a time. I can always just reuse the same ones. So that's good. So the flea, right, okay. The flea will not spawn mushrooms if it's hit once, so I'll showcase that right now. So it was hit and it stopped spawning shrooms, and then of course it dies in 2 hits. The spider is 2 cells wide. I set the sprite scale to be 2 because if it's 16 it'll be 32. So it gets destroyed after 2 hits. Explosion, all good. The Scorpion I showed, it is also 2 cells wide, so it's a scale of 2. I think that's about it for the critters. The Scorpion is aligned with the mushrooms. I think that's good for the critters. I'll go over the mushroom field in the next video.